Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled, I'm Seeking Advice on My Recent Infidelity Towards My Loving Husband. A big shout out to James for sending me this story. And guys, this story is all about a gal. She's 29 years old. She and her husband only been married 6 months, and already she's cheating on him. You're going to see, guys, that this is one of the biggest crybaby-fest pity party posts I've read in a long time. And if you guys have been watching me for a while, you'll know that means something. Long story short, they've been married 6 months. 6 months, and she's already cheating on him. And she doesn't work. I think she's finishing up her grad program, something like that. All of it's on her husband to bring home the bacon to pay the bills. And lately, he hasn't had a whole lot of energy and time for the loving in the bedroom. So she's obviously been feeling neglected and not paid attention to. So eventually she cheated. Hooked up with some random guy she met on Reddit, of all places. And then feels real bad about it now. And then she's posting on Reddit again, looking for more attention to fix the problem because she feels so bad and blah, blah, blah. And it's ridiculous. And if I truly thought that she was sorry, or at least wouldn't ever do it again, maybe I'd be a tad bit giving suggestions. But I don't buy for a second. I just think that she's an emotional roller coaster. In no way, shape, or form is relationship material, let alone wife material. And honestly, just doesn't want to mess up her gravy train. So, starts off, says here, seeking actual empathetic advice. On Reddit, really? I'm already gutted and hate myself deeply for creating this situation. Then you should have created it in the first place. Words of hate won't make me hate myself more. I want to do what I can to rectify the situation while sparing my husband emotionally as much as I can. You can't rectify the situation without harming your husband. He's going to be wrecked by this whole thing. A brief background on our relationship. We were both cheated on in our meaningful relationships before we got together. It was one of our bonding points, not the main one, in the beginning of our relationship, and we've been together for 7 years, married 6 months. To summarize, we had a bit of a romantic comedy style of courtship. With challenges, we overcame and solidified our union. Romantic comedy type of meetup, or what was the word? Style of courtship. So in other words, it's probably like he's kind of like the comedic kind of guy, or maybe something like that. And usually guys like that get cheated on. Over the years, we faced more challenges together. This is a lot of challenges. Last time I checked, relationships should be easy and smooth. All relationships have challenges, but it seems like this is nothing but challenges here. After his grandparents died, we started having issues between his family and their treatment of me. He had issues defending me against them, which hurt greatly both me and him. Not entirely relevant, but just showing we have general issues. Well, maybe his family saw something in you that he didn't want to see. Is that possible, given this current situation? Those issues kind of got put on the back burner as we got married in a small, quick ceremony 6 months ago. Let me guess, the family wasn't there. I've been on the search for a career position since then, having recently earned a graduate degree. I should be high on life at this point in our lives, and I entirely effed it all up. That's what people say. They have a history of doing that. I should be happy, but I screwed it all up. I always screw these things up. You ever heard people talk like this? Why I cheated. A horrible combination of incredibly high SEX drive, temporarily low self-esteem, and not receiving enough attention at home. So already the blame is being shifted on him. It's not my fault. No, he wasn't paying enough attention to me. Well, no, she says she doesn't have a job. So guess who has the job? He does. He has to pay all the bills. He has to focus on everything. That is stressful for a man. Now, men will do it, of course. And a lot of times when men have a lot on their shoulders, a lot on their plate, stressed out, some of them, in some situations, are so stressed out, they don't always function as much as they want to down here. So they might avoid bedroom action while there's a lot of stress going on. And the wise interpret it as, he doesn't love me. He's not attracted to me. This is where communication comes in if you're unhappy. I'm used to being a boss bitch that gets shit done in my personal life and career. Well, right then and there, that tells you. No guy should be with a woman who calls herself a boss bitch, ever. We know what they're like. Having been in an admitted slump following my degree, especially with application rejections, higher cost of living, etc., it has lowered my feelings of self-worth. I admittedly have been depressed. At the same time, my husband is working long hours and sleeps most of the time when home. I brought up concerns with him before and insisted I needed more of his conscious hours, but emphasized his job is very stressful. So I got no problem with her or any woman, any wife, feeling, maybe they're feeling lonely or neglected because the guy's working all the time and he's burnt out at home. Fine, that's all right. But you need to communicate. And she says she's communicating, but clearly she's not communicating in a way that he understands. But also, have some empathy, for God's sakes. It's all on him. He's taking care of all the bills. Again, no problem. Maybe she's feeling lonely or whatever. Or maybe she needs someone in the bedroom. But this is not the way to handle it. And therefore, that's on the basis, and this is on the basis she's being truthful about everything here. This is why I don't feel bad for her at this point. That doesn't remove my feelings of being lonely. However, wanting attention from my husband. On top of this, my SEX drive has always been higher in our relationship. The past few years, I was too all-encompassed with a stressful degree, so my SEX drive was less, about equal to his. By now having time on my hands, having lots of wild SEX around our wedding time, then to cut immediately to having little bouts of often unfulfilling SEX. Shook me. I love my husband. He's seriously the best person I know, but he can be a little selfish in the bedroom. Well, if anybody's being selfish, it's you. And notice this whole thing started off with her feeling so bad and blah, 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 and now she's trashing him. Like, justifying the actions here. Well, the reason you have such a high SEX drive right now, unlike before, because you said yourself you're not working. Guess who is working all the time with all the pressure on him to take care of the bills? Him. So, duh. My orgasm is not the priority there. You sure about that? Where I make sure his is mine, it's been months of me asking for SEX, trying to initiate in sexy ways as well, dressing better and almost constantly being denied by him, the man who's supposed to love me the most. See how he's the bad guy here? Even when we would have SEX, he sometimes referred to it as his duty, which made me feel a bit disheartened as well. This horrible combination took its toll on me, and I started seeking cheap validation from people on Reddit. Started as posting nudes, but leading to sexting, then sexting with people in the same area. There you go. It's over. It's done. You can't trust her. Once a cheat, always a cheater. Period. And I have a very hard time believing that this isn't the first time in her history that she has done things like this when her needs are being met, and attention and validation is a very, very big thing that's needed by this gal. I've been doing this for almost 4 years now and have done thousands of stories and plenty of life experience at 45 years old. That's what this tells me. And this goes back to the whole thing with his family. I have to wonder if his family saw things in her, right, that he didn't want to see or couldn't see. She says, the incident. I met someone on Reddit at the park 2 weeks ago. I knew in the moment that I would regret it, and yet you did it. But I couldn't stop myself from going up to meet him. We made out, and I gave him a BJ. A BJ in the park, huh? I'm imagining this in the car by the swing set, and a bunch of 7-year-olds are walking by, and they see this head going up and down by the window. They're like, what's going on in there? And they look in. Ah! There was a minute of a PIV penetration before we left. Neither of us finished. The act was probably a half an hour total. I blocked him and effectively cut off contact. Oh, well. You've redeemed yourself by cutting off contact after you had a salami in your mouth. My dilemma. After the incident, I resolved to keeping this a secret to my death to spare my husband any pain. Bullshit. You're doing this to spare yourself pain. You're doing this to spare yourself a divorce. Because, well, if you get divorced, you got no one to pay the bills. I mean, you'll get some alimony, but you only been married 6 months, so I don't think you may get a whole lot. We both know that pain vividly of being cheated on from our previous relationships. Oh, so you know what it's like to be cheated on, and you know he's been cheated on, and he did it anyway. I know my situation, it didn't help me reconcile with the breakup at all. I wish they had just broken up with me and left me in the dark, and fully believe they just told me to be clear of their consciousness. This was actually the case in both our situations. Our exes used cheating as an easy reason to break up with us. So I thought that would be my path, to spare my dear, sweet, amazing husband that pain and deal with the aftermath myself. Yeah, you're such a martyr for doing that and keeping it all on yourself. Why don't you just crawl up on the cross? Because I dearly love him and do not want us to end. You have an interesting way of showing how you love him so much. Not to mention after you did that to him and put the blame all on him in this story, we all heard it right here. And again, you're 29. And then if you get divorced, then you're going to be in your 30s single, which ain't so easy compared to when you're in your prime in your 20s. A prime physically and all. And of course, someone to pay the bills. To me, this was a horrible decision that I will always regret, not a tool to hurt my husband. After the incident, I had a burning, dirty fire of excitement. I would really cut it off with the whole dirty thing, lady. That faded after a week. I noticed I found myself being more patient with my husband, trying to be the best wife ever. Yeah, because you cheated on him and now you're feeling bad. Because I was telling myself, no matter what he does, what I did would be worse. Of course it's worse. I woke up this morning gutted, probably because we had such a lovely weekend together. Gutted with the thought of what if he finds out 2, 5, 10, and 30 years from now. What if he thinks all those years weren't genuine? More so, what if he doesn't find out and I make memories with him over all those years and they are married by the guilty associations in my mind? I don't think I can live like that. I don't want to lose him. I want to work on our relationship. Well, if he has a brain, if he finds out if she actually comes clean about everything, if this guy has a brain, he's done with her. Moves on in the story. It's 6 months, so they can get an annulment, unless I'm wrong. Cut your losses and move on. And he's going to get some I told you so. It's probably from like a brother or something like that. The family was probably not surprised. And that's that. But he was with her, I think she said they were together 7 years, but married 6 months. I just want to spare him this pain in the process of doing so, which I know is impossible. But I want a future with him forged in honesty. I guess I'd rather tell him the truth than continue with a lie. He deserves to have all the information in making decisions on his life and how he wants to live it. We both value genuineness. Yeah, I can tell you definitely value being genuine. It's core to our relationship and our individual identities. It was a wedding vow of ours. Clearly you forgot the vows when you were on Chatter Tyrone Salami in the park. By keeping this information to myself, I'm continuing to betray the foundation of our relationship. Advice needed. On thoughts on different paths how to proceed in my scenario. How can I limit his pain while also being honest? We are in great financial situation to afford therapy. You want to limit his pain while being honest. Maybe you should have gotten yourself in this situation to begin with. I'm also wrestling with the idea that even if I feel I need to tell him, I'm not sure he would want to know. Bullshit. Bullshit. No guy wants to think that their wife was cheating on them, of course. But of course he's going to want to know. I think he's going to want to be in the park one day, walking the dog or with your little kids, and you look over there, and maybe that guy that you met in the park just happens to walk on by. How do you think he'd feel if he found out after that? I was debating on asking him in an indirect way. One of our married friends fingered a stripper a few years ago, and we all knew at the time. Husband and I discussed how it would be pointless to tell his wife because everyone knew she would be stick beside him, that she would stick beside him no matter what and would just make her uncomfortable knowing everyone else knew. I was thinking maybe asking him if he was the wife in that scenario, if he'd want to know, or something along those lines, to gauge his reaction and feelings surrounding that. So instead of coming clean, you want to give him a hypothetical situation, saying something like, so let's just say that there was a wife who was feeling lonely and unappreciative and feeling kind of need to get some release in the bedroom, and she cheated on a guy by sucking his salami in the local park where people were feeding the ducks nearby. Do you think that she should tell her husband? Is that really the direction you're going to go with this, to the guy you claim to love and respect, and being genuine is so important and part of your vows? You got to be shitting me, lady. Tell him the fucking truth. And what happens, happens. What if he says he doesn't want to know? I'm a piece of shit. I had a dark moment in this morning where I didn't want to exist on this earth anymore. I feel so dirty and undeserving of the love he gives me. Well, you don't. I'm not sure I can ever forgive myself, and I don't want to tell him if it won't make us stronger. The absolute last thing I want to happen is to tell him he tries to make me feel better as if I did with my shitty ex. He sends me sweet texts right now at work, and I'm sitting here bawling my eyes out. Boo-hoo. If you're reading this, please don't make the same mistake I did. I would give anything to take it back. How many of you guys have heard these lines over and over again in these stories? I try to think about how I felt being cheated on. I try to think about my dear husband's response. But at the moment, my mind was clued with hormones. In other words, the emotions that did it. I cannot stress this enough. Don't put yourself where you're in this situation with any options to cheat. I don't know if I can deal with the look in his eyes when I tell him. Will I ever see that devoted look of love in his eyes directed my way again? I'm not sure if I'd rather live in suffering silence or have this reality where he may not love me as much anymore. Jumble mess of a post, I'm sorry. I wasn't kidding when I told you it was a big pity party and crybaby-fest. And I'm going to give me a moment here before I read the comments, because the comments, they're just tearing her apart. I mean, and you can't blame them. Lady, it's over. End of story. I don't blame you for maybe feeling neglected and all that. Fine, it happens, you know. And you had a right to be upset being neglected and not getting as much attention in the bedroom. But you got to understand that he just got married. This is all new to him, right? He's the only one working. He's paying all the bills. And he probably has a stressful job because he wants to provide you a nice life and eventually for the kids. And so that often will make men not be as enthusiastic for some bedroom action. And also, if they are not so enthused, if they're stressed out, that might not make them able to perform sometimes. And if a guy is ready to roll in the hay and he can't perform because he's stressed out because of work and all the obligations on him, it makes him feel like a bigger loser because he can't take care of business. So the biggest problem here is communication. You claimed you were saying things to talk to him and about your problems and what you're upset about and feeling neglected, but something tells me you weren't as direct as you needed to be in a way to make him understand. As example, talking about speaking a hypothetical situation with your situation now. But you went about it all wrong. You cheated on him. You started going on Reddit, posting naked pictures to you for attention and validation. Come on here. You know you're good looking, obviously, if men like you. Come on here. But this is what you do to him, the good guy that loves you and married you and has been cheated on before. You don't deserve this guy. All right? I mean, what you need to do, what this guy deserves, is you tell him. You tell him what happened. You sit him down, tell him every last detail. And you don't try to gaslight him. You don't try to make him feel like it's his fault for this whole thing and all that. And what happens, happens. He may either tell you to get out, which you should get out, or he may leave for a few days and not want to talk to you. And that's that. And he has every right to. But you don't deserve this guy. And nobody's perfect. I'm sure he has some flaws, but he doesn't deserve this. And you're not going to get pity from me or anybody else there. And the comment section proves that. Now, some comments. One guy says here, it doesn't matter if he wants to know. It doesn't matter if you want him to know. What matters is that he deserves honesty from you. You owe him complete honesty. That's exactly what I said. Even if he doesn't want to hear the details about Chad, Tyrone, Salami in your mouth in the car at the park, I'm assuming they were in a car, unless they were in the bushes while people were feeding the ducks at the park. He has a right to make an informed choice about his own life and his own future. If you don't tell him the truth, you're taking away his personal agency and depriving him of his right to be an honest partner and his right to think about and make choices for himself. Hiding your cheating isn't saving him from pain. It's making you BS excuses to try to justify continuing to lie to him. Your head is so far up your own butt, you seem to think staying silent makes you some sort of martyr. It doesn't. All it does is make you a liar as well as a cheater. Stop the self-pity BS and tell the man the truth. Amen. Another guy says here, I'm going to try to avoid being hateful here. I'll just be honest. That being said, most of this will sting like hell. It's right that you feel guilty. That's the appropriate feeling to have. It's true that your future may be marred by your past actions. Imagine building a family with this man. Then one day you take your kids to the park, and one of them climbs up to the playground and says, Mommy, look. You get that flash of the memory, the intrusive thought. Billy is standing right there where I sucked that guy's stranger's you-know-what. That won't go away. It's also true that while your husband doesn't know, you're the recipient of the ill-gotten affection. That's the second source of the bad feelings. While he's unaware of your wrongdoings, he doesn't love you. He loves the faithful wife you're pretending to be. What you do next will define you and your relationship. You can withhold this information. You will always know his love might not be genuine in the sense that he might not love you if you didn't hide the truth. There's a million excuses not to tell him, but none remove the fact he might feel better, but he'll be living in a comfortable lie. Or you can tell him. He'll likely have some level of emotional breakdown. He might leave you. He might try and stay and work it out, but be unable to overcome the resentment. He might try to get revenge. He might actually stay with you to fix things. At the end of the day, you're the one who has to look at yourself in the mirror. What do you want to see reflected back at you? Long, but very true. Yeah, and this guy, he's never going to get this image out of his head. Period. And again, he's been cheated on before, she said, and it really hurt him. So imagine that happening again. Right, with the one woman he thought would never do that to him because she went through this shit, right? And last one, this guy says here, so what if you picked up an STD for a BJ and shallow plowing in the park? You are risking his health. What is wrong with you? A dude that's willing to meet up for a quickie SCX in the park with you is a low-life man and likely has a diseased sausage. Get an STD test ASAP to include the post-nuptial paperwork you're going to have your attorney create. Ah, how interesting. Go to an attorney, create a post-nuptial agreement that heavily is one-sided his way, with you paying boss babe alimony, sign it, and then tell him your family, your neighbors, and the affair partner's wife, if he has one. The full details about any gaslighting, which I suspect we're getting gaslit version here. Yeah, that's what I mentioned in the beginning. No gaslighting. Nope, twist it around, blame him. You have a full written account ready to go of everything you did. You stay on your knees begging, and you stay on your knees doing whatever you need to do if you have a chance at getting him back. Well, she had no problem being on her knees before with the guy in the park. Even if he decides to leave you, and I hope he does, thank him for it and say that you're glad you could offer him the one-sided post-nuptial agreement because of your evil behavior. If this gets fixed, it's up to you. Do the heavy lifting. Remember, no matter how much heavy lifting you do, he does not have to stay, and that is okay. Finally, you need to get some mental health help. P.S. A woman who loves her man could never do this to him. Don't lie to yourself because we don't buy your lies. Yeah, nobody in that comment section is buying into this crap at all. And again, I find it so funny that she went to Reddit to get the attention and validation, posting spicy pictures of herself and doing a meetup with a guy she met from Reddit. And now she's back on Reddit looking for a bunch of petty attention and validation again about the situation she created before on Reddit. So go figure. So lady, tell your husband everything he deserves to know, and what happens, happens. And in the future, if he ends it with you, learn from this. You give him the best, easiest divorce possible because he earned it, or annulment, and you do some serious soul searching, get some help, and don't ever do this bullshit again. You need some help. You absolutely do. This guy does not deserve this. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.